Hello, this is Patrick at OneCNC West, and what we're going to do in this training video is take a look at how we can apply a pocket operation to our second mill project. Now what I've done is I've created some pockets on another layer here. Let's turn that layer on so you can see there's the pockets. You'll also notice that each pocket has some holes in there. To better visualize this, I also created a solid model. You absolutely do not need a solid model for this type of machining, but I created it just so you can see exactly what we're after here. All right. So let's head over here to the main toolbar, and from our stock toolpaths we are going to select our HS pocketing. Now the first dialog box that you see is our selection dialog box, and this is simply just how do you want to select your geometry. You can pick manually, pick everything on the screen, or pick the current selection. I'm going to go with pick manually. Notice now how our cursor changes to the word bound. That means that OneCNC is looking for a closed shape or a boundary. I'm going to left click and left click and left click all three boundaries, and then when I'm done selecting, just simply right hand mouse click. The first dialog box, just like our other previous toolpath operations, is our select tool. This is where we can manually define a tool, or we can pick a tool from the library. If you want to grab a tool from the library, you just left hand mouse click on the tool graphic, or if you want, you can left hand click down here where it says tool changer. You'll get exactly the same dialog box. But for this example, we're going to manually just put in our diameter here. I have 12 millimeters. The length is simply how far the tool sticks out of the holder. I have 40 here. And this is our tool type. We have in mill selected. We've got our RPM. There's our feed rate. All that looks good. Now the feed rate, this is your XY feed rate, and then plunge feed rate, that's your Z feed rate. So any move that includes a Z move is going to use this feed rate here. We'll click next. Here's our clearance values. I already have my clearance plane. I might change that. I'll put 10 there. We have our plunge clearance. This is where the tool is going to start to feed down. Notice how it's all nicely graphically laid out here for us. The top of the material is Z0, and this is just how deep are our pockets, and it's minus 15 millimeters. So all that looks great. So we'll click next. And these are the different styles of pocket operations that are available. In all systems, you'll have the high-speed closed, high-speed open, and traditional. And within the Mill Expert system, you'll also have the center optimized closed. This is great for pockets that have thin walls in that. High-speed closed, that's high-speed toolpath. Again, all of our systems include that. High-speed open, that's when you've got something like a flat surface and you might have some bosses sticking up and you want to start machining from the outside of the shape and then work yourself around. And then we have traditional. This is just your standard concentric pocket operation. Let's go with high-speed closed. We'll talk about some of these options in just a little bit, but we'll go with high-speed closed for right now. This is how we want to enter into the pocket. I'm going to helical ramp in. I might change this to 10 degrees. That looks fine, so we'll click next. Here's your step over. This is the amount the tool is going to step over in X and Y. Now you can put in a percentage of the tool diameter like we've done here, or if you want to put in an actual distance, you can do that as well. So if I uncheck auto step over, now you actually put in the amount. So if I type in 10 millimeters, that's the amount of step over. If I want to go with a percentage of the tool diameter, I just delete that and type in whatever I'd like. So I'll put in, how about 65%, and then there's the equivalent there. Here's our rough depths. This is just how much do we want to take per depth of cut if you want to take rough depths. If you don't want to take rough depths and just want to machine it to depth, just uncheck that. But I'm going to take rough depths of 5 millimeters per pass. Why don't we leave 0.25 on the sides of the pocket? There's our tolerance. We don't have to worry about any taper, so I'll just have 0 set there. This finish settings, this is if we want to make an extra finish pass. You see here how we left this amount of material on the pocket walls. If we want to, we can use that same tool and tell OneCNC to make a finish pass, let's say at the very bottom, or maybe at each depth of cut, or we could even specify a custom depth of cut. But I'm going to say none here. I don't need that extra finish pass, so we'll click finish here. Let OneCNC calculate that. All right, now why don't we preview this? I'm going to turn our solid model on. I'm going to right click up here and hit preview. And this is going to show us the tool path on top of the solid model. Let's slow this down just a little bit here. And you can see what it's doing is, by default, it's cutting one depth of cut per each pocket. So there's the second depth of cut. And it's going to repeat that process. And this is, again, this is just by default. This is great when you have thin-walled pockets. All right, but let's say you'd like to take that tool and machine that pocket all the way to depth and then machine the next pocket all the way to depth. Well, in XR5 it's very simple to do that. Let's go back in here and edit this operation. I'm going to right hand mouse click and select edit operation, and we'll click next, and then right down here, see where it says multiple pocket order? By default it's set to by level, okay, and that's just what we saw. It's going to machine one depth of cut for each pocket and repeat that process. But if I change this to by pocket, it'll machine each pocket all the way to depth and then move on to the next pocket. Let's let that recalculate. Now let's preview this. So we'll go back into preview toolpaths, and here we go. There's our first depth of cut and our second depth of cut, and I'll speed this up a little bit. So it's going to complete each pocket before it moves on to the next pocket. All right, thank you so much for watching, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.